Okay guys, welcome back. So we are ticking a much needed box here.
Much requested box.
Much requested. You guys have been looking for us to test the PXG Gen 2 woods.
Yep.
So the guys have been really kind and dropped some off to us for testing. We're pretty keen to see how these stack up.
I've never hit any PXG woods
You've
at all.
never hit one?
Just the irons. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say the first generation people were very accepting of the irons.
Yeah.
The wedges were good. The hybrid was really nice. And then from there was maybe a little bit of discussion whether you liked the drivers in the first generation.
Yep.
They obviously have completely changed their model. They've added some carbon in the crown, they've added some more weights, they've added a couple of different models. So we've got the 0811X, the 0811XF.
So a little bit more forgiving.
A little more forgiving. So, you know, just to simplify, you guys have probably seen it already. So here's your weight back, high MOI, forgiveness story, high launch, low spin.
Yep.
And then the X would be more of your adjustable sort of technician's driver. So one that can really be dialed in through the weights. So
M6, M5 for
M6,
M5 in comparison to TaylorMade someone else.
Epic Flash and Sub-Zero. That sort of idea. So nice to have both of those options.
It's cool, yeah. Everyone seems to have both at this point, don't they? Everyone's got two drivers.
Yeah, and if you don't, you're not really catering to the mass. You're just catering to a section of the market. So having both is good. The adjustable sleeve is 3 degrees of changeable face angle, 1.5 degrees of loft adjustment.
Pretty standard.
Pretty standard. One of the interesting things I saw with this though is that the lie angle is a little bit more upright.
Okay, I was going to ask you that when I stood over there, but
did you see it?
When I set it down just now, yeah, it looks upright.
So one of the things with the original driver was people talked in sort of the club fitting circles about the other one. The previous Gen 1 was you could actually get it sitting very flat, and it would be very good for the player who kind of hooked it a little bit. So. You know, there's not enough talk about lie angle with woods, in my opinion, and that was one where, you know, they might go, okay, you might be sacrificing a little bit on ball speed, increased spin, but the lie angle being flat, you'll probably hit it very straight.
Right.
So they seem to have changed that a little bit, which I'm interested in.
See how it affects the ball flight. I mean, we'll be measuring it too dynamically, so we'll see what that number is.
Yeah, very true. And we've done some preliminary testing or sort of gathered some data with yours.
Our usual routine: get a same day test of mine, and then compare how we're swinging today. But I'm curious. I've never tried. Never trying them, and obviously they're priced. They're not cheap by any means. Let's be honest. They're still more expensive than an M5 or something or a Callaway, but it's on the planet now. I think in Canada, being $100 more than most drivers, it's not. I mean, it's just all relative, right? They were so expensive before. I think most people just said, forget it. I'm not buying a driver for $1,200. Like, don't even bother with it. But now, would you agree it's at least back in the conversation?
It's digestible for sure. No question.
If it performs better.
If it performs, I mean, you're not going to get that scenario where you give someone an M5 and you give someone this outperforms. They go, oh, it's too, I can't get that. It's too expensive. Right. They'll probably go, okay, well, they'll weigh up the value relative to the performance.
Exactly.
And that sort of thing. I mean, I think it's fair to say, Matty, that the first generation, the iron was the focus.
Okay.
Certainly, it was the big conversation piece was about sort of thermoplastic elastomer inside the head, soft forging, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then the driver was the driver. Gen 2 never changed a crazy amount with the iron. Obviously going to Core 2 rather than TPE, slightly different, higher performance sort of gel that went inside the head. And it seemed like they got a little bit more focused on the driver for Gen 2.
Which makes sense. I mean, they had a really good product with the irons, so they tweaked it.
Build upon it.
And this probably needed work, so they gave it more attention.
It looks like they've kind of revamped the whole thing. Go with the carbon. It's a very different look.
It is very different. I think people will like it though. It's sort of techie on top, but it's not loud by any means. I think it's, as you said, digestible changes.
Scotland flag on top as well.
I was going to say, that's good luck for you.
I know.
Okay, so we'll start with the XF.
Yeah, let's start with that one. So this is your sort of M6, your more forgiving model.
Okay, probably spins a little bit more.
Well, you would certainly, look for that just for touch more control. How did that strike feel?
A little bit low, but not bad. I mean, it feels better to me when I hit it a bit lower in the face, but.
That was pretty quick for a low one.
It's good.
Yeah, it's better.
I definitely feel like the upright nature of it's playing in my head a little bit, probably curving it a bit more than I usually do.
It's not helping the scenario, is it?
No.
Good. That to me looks like your flight.
That was better.
That's the push draw.
Better strike.
330, 3, 4.
Not the best swing, but it's getting decent ball speed out of the miss hits, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think the only reason I'd be a little uncomfortable with this is I think it's pretty draw bias for maybe just relative to what I usually play.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? I mean, we know for you sitting a little bit flatter, obviously a little open, like your LS Tech. That does sit quite open, that one.
I mean, this is an extreme, I guess this is an extreme fade bias this has been set up for. And this is more just probably neutral.
Very neutral. I mean, we configured the 5 weights on the back. We did put the heavier weights to the toe.
Okay.
So we're trying to reduce the face rotation a little bit.
So do you think the dynamic lie then might be a little bit more to blame for the face getting a bit close?
Playing a part there, no question.
Like when you keep the face square, definitely, I mean, it's got some pop on it.
Yeah, this one especially. That looked close.
Yeah.
Interesting, you're striking this one much better.
They seem to be lining up. I mean, there's kind of all sort of high center.
Yeah. Yeah, you're catching that in a way better part of the head.
It's a little low in the face.
Okay. Got away with it. That's a pretty good one for a cheeky low one. Low heel.
So I think the low section of both of these heads seems to be really quick.
It's quick and it doesn't kick up a touch. There's not a massive amount of gearing going on there.
So take a guy who slices it a little bit and hits it low in the face. It's a pretty good option for them to knock the spin off.
Yeah, and it talks to the CG location.
Okay.
So we've kind of done that one in the past where we've kind of used a shaft as an image of where the CG is, and the higher the CG. When we catch it low, the more tilt you get on the head. You get the head tilt down, you get the ball spinning up.
Oh, okay.
The lower the CG is, and we catch that low strike, the less you can tilt the head and the less the ball will gear up. So the thing with that is it really seems to me like the carbon crown. I'd love to know the weight distribution vertically on the head. Yeah. It seems to me like that carbon crown would be extremely light.
So you're suspecting the CG location of this is quite a bit lower than something else we've been testing?
I would imagine it's very, very low.
That felt good.
Yeah. Let's get a bit more spin to that one.
I think if I had a range session with it, I would start to get along with it quite well. Mm-hmm. The first few were definitely an adjustment, but...
Yeah, it's interesting because I was expecting to kind of eat humble pie there with with a low strike that spun up, but it didn't. It really didn't. So the fact that you're able to retain launch, keep spin down on a strike lower than the equator of the club is a perfect testament to the vertical CG in the golf club.
It's not really what I was expecting to find about these, that they're one of the more forgiving kind of off-center hit drivers that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, for the first time you've hit it, really, the first couple of hits with it, you are just kind of finding your sort of feet. But if we go back to that, it kind of falls in line. I mean, you're not going to be an XF guy.
No.
It kind of falls quite close to yours, doesn't it?
The only difference, the numbers would probably be the same if the face angle was delivered the same. Like mine, I think I obviously deliver a little more open than this. So the fact that it launches a bit lower, you think it's probably just the tendency to get the face a bit shut?
Mm-hmm. you struck that one really good. Interestingly, your efficiency was a little. I mean, that can be that's probably more the way it reads the head.
Yeah. I noticed it going up and not. I don't think I'm swinging faster.
I wouldn't buy that. Yeah. I wouldn't buy that as an issue with this one. So story would be, Matty, quicker for sure.
Yeah.
Than previous models. Lower spin is the big story for me. It's very low spin,
especially in this region here.
Yeah.
Which I think will be good for a lot of players.
Yeah, I mean, that's, forgiveness is obviously the club's ability to manage miss-hits.
Yep.
So it's doing a really good job because you're not dropping ball speed.
No.
You're retaining decent launch and the spin staying down. I think all in all, it's good from that standpoint.
Definitely.
So it's a contender. You're just going to be selective about who you give it to.
I think that's true.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I see with it. Like, I would use that as a tool in my toolbox that if somebody walks in and kind of like that handle raiser that we talked about, who creates a little bit excess spin on the lower strikes, I'd be like, there's the guy for me.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny because I expected this to be the super low spin fade bias driver like a Sub-Zero Callaway, and it's just, I guess the lie angle is really causing it to be more of a slightly draw bias driver.
Interesting.
Despite it playing open. Yeah, it's different. Well,
feel and stuff, was it good? Good?
Honestly, I was saying this before, it reminds me a lot of mine, to be honest. It feels quite a bit like my ping. I think it's a bit higher pitch, but that's very subjective. We're indoors, obviously. But
yeah, I mean, they've got the sort of the TPE inside this and the honeycomb TPE, which basically lies in the sole of the golf club again. So it's kind of a bit of acoustic tuning going on with that. So when you get sort of impact and sound bounces off thin walls, that's what spikes the pitch. So dampening that by hitting something like TPE inside will bring the pitch down a little bit. Carbon will help with that as well.
I think it's one of the better sounding drivers we've tried. For sure. Yeah. I think if you want a more traditional kind of muted sound, that and the ping.
Interesting.
M5 was, I guess, in that kind of vein too. Good.
Okay. Well, I think it's definitely in the mix and in the conversation. It's relatively quick. It's a good all-rounder.
I think it'll be good for your fitting matrix because it suits, I'm not going to say a really specific person, but it's a tool that maybe you didn't quite have before.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not exactly what they were trying to do, who knows, but in terms of you adding it to your matrix, it's good that you can at least offer someone the value of saying, okay, that's why I would try this with you, because you have that kind of delivery. And then if it is so much better on that type of swing, then $100 more is not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be curious at some point down the line. We've got our demos are on their way to us right now.
Right.
I'm really curious to work a little bit with these, especially on the X head, and start to play with these weights a little bit.
Right.
And I'll go, okay, if we put the three heavier weights, put them in the heel with the upright lie angle, mess with the face setting, can that really impact the player who misses with a bit of a fade?
Right.
Gets a bit slicey, so see if you can sort of add multiple features from the head into the recipe for an improvement.
Do you think that the adjustability on this is maybe better than some drivers with the amount of, I mean, to me it looks like the weights are quite close to the face there and quite close to the back.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get custom weights. I'm assuming you can probably dial this in quite well.
You can definitely get custom weights. I mean, if you look on the website, they talk about the head weight can be anywhere from the mid 180s up to 216 grams or something. Really? You can get it up to.
That's good for builds. Then you can vary the shafts
completely.
And things like that.
And I think the exact being able to exactly locate weight is a real benefit.
It is very precise, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's not like adjustable, anything
or
like sliders and kind of that sort of thing. So those are fine too. But these are exactly in position.
Okay. Well, I would say the conclusion is it's definitely worth a try.
Yeah.
It's not too expensive anymore. Yes, it is expensive to be fair, but it's not insane. And with testing a bunch of other drivers, I think it's worth a look if they carry it at your your local fitting shop. Yeah,
and we're probably going to in time maybe see other advantages to the head and other ways in which we can use it. this is one test with one player.
Day one is the most, a biggest understatement. We literally made 20 swings, and this is the first we've seen of it, but enough to pique the curiosity, and we'll see how it goes for the rest of the year.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Awesome. Excellent. Guys, hopefully this was somewhat of an answer to what you were looking for, to our thoughts on the driver, and that sort of thing. And I just want to know what you guys, have experience with it. Having tried it now for, it's probably been a few months that it's been out. I want to hear what people think. I had a text conversation with a friend the other day who has it, and he absolutely loves it.
Really?
Loves it. In his opinion, it was kind of the pick of the bunch for the drivers of 2019, which I thought was very interesting.
I'd be curious in the comments if someone has, whatever your delivery is, how you swing. Let us know how you swing, and if you are a PXG driver, I wonder how that kind of matches up.
That would be very valuable for people who have this driver or have tested it. Tell us if you had success and why that was.
Yeah, what did it do to your ball flight?
And if you didn't have success, what was the ball flight? So I want to hear kind of both sides of it, because I think that will help people, us, and it will help other people in the community sort of decide whether this is one that they should try.
Totally agree.
Excellent. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching this. Big thanks to Stu at PXG for dropping these tours.
Lefties too.
Lefties too. Well, that's something that we should say for the benefit of the Canadian viewership. There's no restriction to the lofts they offer in lefty.
So both heads, XN and XF, come in
9, 10, 5, 12.
That's good.
In lefty. So
there's always a model missing with almost every company except Titleist. So
that's right.
good for them.
So good for them. Excellent. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching.